Hello again. It's another, what day is it? Tuesday afternoon. Here we are again, into week 21 of lockdown now. It has been interesting being stuck at home, just watching the garden grow, frankly. I was hoping to go out into the garden today, Wi-Fi permitting, but the wind has got up a bit, so you probably wouldn't be able to hear me. But there's a lot of wildlife around here, and it's good fun seeing life develop. But of course, lockdown has been easing here and there. Sometimes it's been tightened up again. I'm still not entirely sure where we stand. I understand, for instance, that we can now go to the pub. And if you're eating, you don't have to wear a mask. If you're only drinking, you do have to wear a mask. Although how you can drink while you're wearing a mask, I don't know. And if you have to take your mask off to drink, there's not a lot of point in wearing it in the first place. At least that's what I understand. That may only be on Wednesdays and Thursdays, or if there's an hour in the month. Yes, things are confusing, and they're confusing and uncertain as well for corporations and the companies operating in the dangerous goods supply chain. We've had recently a lot of second quarter reports coming in, second quarter and half year reports, which do give a clearer idea of how companies are getting along. And by and large, I have to say, most companies aren't doing that badly. But it's like when the coronavirus hit us first, a lot of the health concerns were about people with underlying health conditions, people with bad chest, for instance. If they catch the COVID virus, it can be very dangerous for them. People with diabetes and so on, they are the people who are dying of this by and large, although even some younger people are being taken out of the gene pool. But I think it's the case also that those companies that are suffering, certainly in our business, are those with underlying financial conditions, if you like. By and large, as I said, the reports that I'm seeing at the moment generally tell a reasonably strong story, apart from those companies, for instance, in the US midstream patch that are exposed to upstream, where the fall, in particular, in price of oil and natural gas has caused many of them to take an impairment charge. Which doesn't look very good on the top line numbers, but underneath that, they're still doing okay. But a lot of people have been looking to what life's going to be afterwards. Hans-Jörg Bertschi, for instance, the chairman of the Bertschi Group in Switzerland, said that he doesn't expect global demand for chemicals to return to their pre-crisis level until the end of 2021 at the earliest. I think that may even be optimistic. However, he says we do see short-term opportunities in the market and can implement the necessary investments very quickly thanks to our robust financial situation. And that's a story I've heard time and again. There are plenty of opportunities cropping up in the chemical supply chain, but those companies who want to take advantage of those opportunities need to be kitted out, really, or to have the access to the funds necessary to take advantage. Bertschi also has been investing heavily in digitized solutions and said that that was one of the reasons why it was able to switch to remote working for much of its office workforce very quickly. They've also been getting access to additional long-term financing at attractive rates, they say. The Vopak, the major the big major global independent bulk liquid storage operator, also released its half-year figures recently. And again, profitability has improved, but partly that's due to the fact that the company's put in a lot of cost-cutting measures in order to ensure its long-term viability once we come out of the lockdown. Also, tank capacity utilization has risen in the second quarter, not least due to the contango in the oil products market. They reported lower demand for chemical storage, but oil storage is good. Like many, Vopak said that their main focus at the moment is on the health of their workforce. Limit spread of the virus. They put global and local measures in place, but says all our 66 terminals are operating and there'll be no significant disruptions. We also heard from Suttons Group, the UK-based road haulier and intermodal operator. Their finance director, Keith Broom, for instance, had this to say, and I'll read this to you because it is quite interesting. Like many businesses, unsurprisingly, we had to react quickly at a corporate level to ensure that we had access to sufficient cash to support the business and to fund any investment required to meet our changing operational need. The initial problem was trying to model what the impact on the business turnover and cash flow might be in a situation that no one had lived through before. Well, since the flu pandemic in 1918-19, I suspect. He said our two biggest concerns were that we didn't know how far demand would fall and whether or not some of our customers would be unable to pay us. We were also initially unaware of the level of support that governments would provide. We moved quickly to preserve cash. Capital expenditure plans were reviewed and some projects were deemed non-essential, deferred or rescheduled. Again, that's a story we've been hearing from a lot of companies. It's crucial for all businesses, including Suttons, to constantly assess the medium to long-term impact of the pandemic on customers and competitors in the post-COVID-19 world. It's certain that the economy will take a significant time to recover, and where coronavirus has had a negative impact, companies like ours must respond quickly to reshape their business processes, asset base and workforce to ensure they're in the best possible shape to survive and prosper in this economy. Equally, where the pandemic generates opportunities, businesses must react swiftly to capitalize on them. In the States, we heard from Eric R. Beyer, President and CEO of the National Association of Chemical Distributors, who pointed out that as an essential industry, the chemical industry in the States has been protected to some extent, and that the chemical sector as a whole has been able to weather the disruption. Some products are no longer in demand, others are increasingly in demand. Employment, he said, was down by 2.1% since February, which is a fraction of what's happened to the entertainment industry and the private travel, airlines and so on. But still concerning. Chemical production is down 12% from this time last year, but shipments are up by 2.3%. He also praised his members, the chemical distributors in North America, for the response that they've made to not only protecting their own workforce, but also supporting their local communities with outreach efforts, sponsorships, and so on, and volunteers. For those at the sharp end, it was interesting when we took part, as usual, in Labelmaster's annual DG Confidence Survey, which ran through June. to see how DG professionals were finding life during lockdown. Robert Finn, Vice President of Label Master, said that the COVID-19 pandemic has greatly impacted the global dangerous goods supply chain. Yet, even as the industry has shown tremendous resilience, this crisis has shed light on weaknesses related to organisations' ability to keep shipments safe and compliant, and the need for further investment in dangerous goods training, technology and infrastructure. In particular, I think heading back to a new normal, given the supply chain challenges spotlighted during the pandemic, it's clear, Label Master said to DG professionals, that their organisations must address gaps, specifically those related to data accuracy and completeness, which again is something that's cropped up year after year in this survey, as well as more effective tools for training team members remotely. And that's something that's come right to the fore in the last few months. How do you ensure those who need to be trained according to regulations are getting effective and proper and timely training? We're reliant very much on online training at the moment, and it's been encouraging to see some of the changes that training providers have put in place to make that online training more accessible, more effective, which has always been a concern, and even to allow remote examinations to take place. Most respondents to the survey said accurate and complete dangerous goods shipment data is important, and that they need more support from their management. I'm just going to read what Robert Finn said to finish. The COVID pandemic has shone a spotlight on areas of dangerous goods management that must be addressed within many organisations. As they look to move forward in the new normal, it's important for senior leadership to recognise the critical role that dangerous goods management plays in maintaining a smooth, resilient and compliant supply chain, and that it can actually be a competitive advantage, has risks and enables better customer service. Then they must invest in the technology, training and infrastructure that dangerous goods professionals need to manage dangerous goods effectively and efficiently. Some of this also goes back to that discussion a couple of weeks ago, I think, on the National Cargo Bureau's approach to dealing with container ship fires. But I've been rattling on for far too long. I see I'm well over time. Thanks for staying with me, those of you who have. And I look forward to seeing you next week, when I want to talk about how we're going to get together over the next couple of months, which is probably going to be very similar to this. Take care of yourselves. See you next week. Bye for now.